welcome to this video. I'm Satshya. I hope you're doing well. And last time I had put up a video talking about my personal experience being a journalist. You will find it somewhere here. And I asked people if they had any more questions, and so many questions followed in. So I'm going to answer all of them now. Before we get into that, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. You can click on the red button here. Now that the awkward introduction is done, let's get to the questions. What are the qualifications required to be a journalist? So to become a journalist, most companies look at your educational qualifications, and by that I mean they look at if you have a postgrad degree in journalism. They don't really look at what your undergrad is, but it does help if you have a specialization in something. So yeah, if you want to get hired as a journalist, you would have to have a postgrad degree in journalism or communication. Or sometimes, if you're lucky, if you have just an undergrad degree, also you would get hired, but your pay might be a little low. I'm in high school. How do I start? What's the process? I love that someone is thinking about their career when they are just in high school and wanting to prepare for it. So for journalism, I think the best thing to do is to just have as much practice as you can in the kind of journalism you want to do. So for example, if you like writing and you want to be part of a magazine or a newspaper, what you can do is start a blog. This really helped me. I had my own blog when I was 14 and I just used to write on it. I didn't have a specific idea, just my thoughts, my feelings, whatever. I used to keep writing on it, but it was good practice for me to understand how to form a narrative, how to have that flow, how to have that discipline when it comes to writing. So since you're a student, and I don't know if companies give internship opportunities to high schoolers, but if you want to start somewhere, start with that, or start making your own newsletter. Like you can be in charge of your family newsletter if your family does that. So you can get a practice of, collecting information from different people, putting it together, editing it, formatting, all that. Hi bestie, what subjects would you recommend taking up in 11th and 12th? In 11th and 12th, I would say take up subjects that you're most interested in, because those are the ones you'll probably be able to score the best at. I took up science in 11th and 12th. I took physics, chemistry, math, and statistics, not because I was interested in it, but because my parents were like, oh, what if you change your mind later? So it's good to have a backup, like all Indian parents say. And I didn't really like it very much. I only liked stats a lot. But the rest of it I really struggled through just because I wasn't that interested in it. Pick a subject that you think will help you as a journalist. For example, if you want to cover, say, politics, then taking an arts in 11th and 12th with like history, pol science would help. If you want to do business journalism, then it does help to take commerce subjects. If you want to do science journalism, then it does help having a base in science subjects. So think about it that way, because I can't give you a clear-cut answer, because there's nothing that you can do from 11th and 12th. Unlike like medicine and engineering where you have foundational subjects, journalism doesn't have those, at least in 11th and 12th. How do I get into journalism if I studied something else in UG? So the good news is you don't need to necessarily study journalism or communication in order to do a postgrad in journalism. This is something I learned much later, but it's true. Anybody can do a postgrad in journalism. You just need to have an undergrad in some subject. And if you're talking about getting a job without doing a journalism degree, then I would say it's far more difficult, because there are a lot of skills that you need to learn in order to get a journalism job. But if it's just probably you want to say start writing for your local magazine or your local newspaper, then you can approach someone and say, hey, I'm interested in this. Can I contribute? So I don't know if you might get paid or not, but that's a good way to start, because once you start at least getting published, your work starts being put out there, you're able to build out a portfolio. Then you're able to approach like bigger news agencies and be like, hey, I have this experience and this is why I think you should hire me. Does it make sense to pursue journalism after UG journalism? If you want to work as a journalist, yes, because when it comes to hiring, all of these companies go to journalism colleges and hire them first. It's very, very, in few cases that they hire outside of campus hiring. And if you're looking, I'm guessing from your question, you're thinking of, will I is it worth it? Like, will it be a repetition if I study journalism again in my postgrad? I don't think so, because postgrads are very intensive. They are very practical and industry based. So there's like this much of theory that you will learn, but more of it is practice. Learn how to use the camera, learn how to write, learn how to build contacts. All of those things you learn in journalism school. So if you want to be a journalist, I highly recommend that you do your postgrad in journalism. But if you are someone who is still in your 11th, 12th and you're trying to decide what you want to do, I would highly recommend not doing an undergrad in journalism, simply because I don't think it contributes as much. It helps if you want to be in the communications field and you're not sure what you want to do, whether journalism or PR or advertising, then it's fine. But if you're so sure you want to be a journalist, I would recommend that you take a core subject like, say, economics or pol science or history, something that you can base your journalism degree, like your journalism beat on, because it always helps to have an expertise in a subject matter when you become a journalist. The next question is, what is the best course for postgrad in journalism? Aha! So I might be biased, but I honestly truly believe that Asian College of Journalism has the best journalism program in India, at least. It's very intensive, very hands-on, very practical. I think that's the best thing I liked about ACJ. I studied there. There are 4 streams. There's print, radio, new media, and TV. I picked TV because I wanted to get into TV journalism. And you learn everything. You learn how to handle a studio, camera, lights, being the director, switching between angles. I absolutely loved it. It was crazy intense, crazy stressful. That 1 year was like, I don't think I barely slept because of the amount of projects and assignments and things we had to do and submit, in addition to there being pretty heavy academic work as well. So we didn't learn journalism theory, but we learned other electives like art and culture, environmental journalism, investigative journalism, developmental journalism. So there's a lot to do, and I would highly recommend you try ACJ. I know a lot of people, especially in North India, have this hesitation because it's in Chennai and they're like, it's so far away. How will I adjust with the language? No. So many of my friends, from Delhi and other parts of North India who came, they had such a good experience and gave them so much exposure about South India and life and culture. And trust me, the main thing is the education, right? So even if the course that I liked, the best course was like in Timbuktu or in some remote place in Iceland, I would go all the way there because I'm going there for my education. I wanted, when I'm doing something, I want to give it my 100% and do it at the best. So with that mentality, I went to ACJ and it delivered. 100% I would recommend ACJ. If not, there are the IIMCs if you're not able to go out of your own home state. IIMCs are pretty good, and also Jamia is also pretty good, but ACJ is the best. My parents want me to do engineering, but I want to do journalism. How can I convince them? I think parents, when they're giving this kind of advice, they're merely looking out for you and your future, right? They want to know that you'll be okay and you'll be able to take care of yourself. And with journalism, I understand why they would have apprehensions, because not a lot of people talk about it. You don't know if the scope is a lot and you don't know if the money is a lot. And also they might feel like engineering is a secure job and izzat bhi hai na. So I think the best thing you can do is show initiative that you really want to do this. Start by interning at newspapers or TV channels if you can. Have your own blog, start vlogging if you want. You have to be able to show that you are really interested, so much so that you are going out of your way to learn more. And the second thing is, you can have them, or you can talk to people who are journalists, so you get a better idea of what the field is like. You can have them talk to journalists as well, so that even they feel a little bit comforted, because a lot of times the fear and the hesitation towards it is just because you don't know much about the field. And I'm pretty sure it's a very common thing among a lot of parents, even if they are super broad-minded and modern. They just want to know that their child's future is going to be okay. Just show that you're interested and increase their knowledge about it as well. Is journalism and mass media the same thing? They're not exactly. Like, mass media is an umbrella term which has advertising, PR, technical writing, corporate communications, all that including journalism under that big umbrella. Well, journalism is a subset of it, and journalism is a very different from advertising and PR. So journalism is all about being objective, getting the facts straight, doing deep dives. It's very intellectual in a way, whereas advertising and PR is more creative, where you have to work with brands and agencies to put forward the right messaging. So they're very different. But if you're doing in your undergrad, then mass media works if you're not really sure if you want to be a journalist. The next question is, from which year can we start internship? You can start interning anytime, anywhere, as long as you're interested and as long as the company is willing to take you on. So for me, I started interning at the end of my first year of undergrad, and it was a really great experience. I interned at the Hindu in Mangalore. Fantastic experience. They were so nice, and whatever questions I had, they would answer. They would give me so many opportunities to write, to go and report, and do so many of these things. So I learned a lot, and it really helped me in class also. So even in class, and there were lectures, right, about, okay, this is the method of how you do this is why you do this is what reporting is like, and I could relate everything. So studies became super easy for me because I had practical knowledge of it. So I didn't have to like think too much about the subject matter, because I already knew what it was like. So for me, it was just, my answer paper was just like me writing my diary, my experiences of how things work, how the reporting chain goes, and all of that. So I loved doing internships, and I would highly recommend you start doing it from your first year onwards, because then it also gives you more clarity on what kind of journalism you want to do, or if you probably will realize you don't want to do journalism at all. So it gives you a lot of clarity regardless. I'm in my second year pursuing journalism, and I would love to know about internship opportunities. There are a lot of platforms which offer internships. I think there's Internshala and things like that. But for me personally, my first internship, I wanted to intern at the Hindu because that's the newspaper we got at home. And I know that they are really good and really objective. So I just went to the office, and I went and I said, hello, I want to talk to the editor. And they were so nice. He agreed to talk to me, and I was like, hello sir, I would like to intern. And he was like, okay, cool, send me a letter, and I need some work of your writing, some sample work. And for me, I used to contribute a lot to when I was in 11th and 12th, to the college magazine. I used to try to write as much as I can. I had my blog also then, so I sent him all of this, so I had proof of published work. And that's how I got the internship. For my second internship, I wanted to intern with a TV channel because I'd done print, so I wanted to know what TV was like. So here I had asked someone who was working at a TV channel. I had a family friend there, so I was like, hey, who should I contact, to get in touch? So he gave me the email ID, and then I emailed them, and I followed up once or twice, and that's how I got the second internship. I would say people are very approachable when it comes to interns, because most journalism internships don't pay. So they're very happy to have the extra help. And the most important thing is, it's not that you're doing an internship so that you get a certificate saying ki I have done internship. It's a fantastic opportunity for you to learn as much as you can, because people's expectations of you as an intern is here. So you have nothing to lose. You can ask all the questions you want. Keep your eyes and ears open, and you will absorb as much as you can. And I loved my internships. I loved my internship experiences, and it solidified this idea that, man, I want to become a journalist. And I was very clear that, okay, I want to be this kind of journalist, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. So internships, please do it, and do it with a media house you respect, because you will feel motivated to learn more, and you will also build great contacts in the industry, which will really help you later on. Did you get a job as soon as you finished your journalism course? Yes, I did. So another great thing I was talking about ACJ is ACJ has a very high placement rate, and apparently all the media houses come to ACJ first for recruitment. So we have almost 100% placement rate, and soon after our final exams, I remember we had our placements, and I applied for all of them, but I got the first one that I sat for, which was for a TV channel, and it was great. It was a fantastic experience. Within the first day, like 20-30 people already got placed out of a batch of 150 people, which is quite good. And so as the days go by, everybody gets placed, and there are people who chose not to sit for placements, and there are like very few people who didn't get a job at all, but they applied on their own, and that's how they got it. So most of my friends, like almost everyone I know, was employed soon out of college. This is a very funny question. Why so long hours and so less monies? This question is actually from a journalist friend of mine, and it is true. Journalism requires a lot of hard work and very long hours. I think usually it's like 9 hours of work, but it goes on to so many more hours. And if you're a reporter, all the more, because you cannot predict when news is going to happen, right? It could be like you're working like till 11 p.m. chasing one story, and then 5 in the morning you get an alert that something else is happening. You'll have to go and do it. So it is purely passion that drives people in journalism. And I understand why, because it's such a fascinating field. There's something happening every single day. You get to meet such interesting people every single day, and you get to see history as it unfolds. It is amazing. But the downside is that, yeah, you work a lot of long hours, and also the pay is not as much as other industries. So while you might start off on similar packages as your friends, but the rate of increment that you get every year is so low that the only way you can make good money is if you keep switching jobs. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at your friends who are, say, engineers or whatever, and their salary will be here and yours will be still here. So yeah, that's a bit that has to change. What is the minimum package for freshers? So this depends from category to category. For example, print gets paid the lowest. TV gets paid pretty well, and I think digital and TV, I think, pay the most. So the more skills you have, the better, right? That's why I put so much stress on the university or the college you do your postgrad in, because that's where they teach you how to, if you know how to edit videos, handle a camera, report piece, do a piece to camera, all of that, you can get any job in journalism you want, because those are the founding, like the building blocks. And once you have that, you will learn on the job and you can do a great job. So I would say the range would be, I think about 5-6 years ago, the in hand range was about between 19,000 to 34,000. And this was like print being 19,000 and digital and TV being 34,000. And then as you keep moving jobs and as you gain experience, your pay packages can differ. If you do like, oh, my battery's low. Wait, I'll be back. Okay, battery is back and so am I. Yeah, so as I was saying, when it comes to money, nobody is in journalism ever for the money, because the money isn't very good. But you will make enough to be able to support yourself if you are just one person and you don't have to send money to anyone. And if you're smart about your money, you will be able to save enough, you'll be able to tick some of those goals you would have. Everyone's goals is different, I understand. But it's not so bad that you cannot afford anything, you'll have to ask money from your parents. It is decent. It is decent pay. But it's still not as much as you'd like it to be. The next question is, for a law graduate, what should I do to become a legal journalist? So a legal journalist is someone who primarily reports from the Supreme Court, reports on major judgments that are happening, and legal reporters are very high in demand because you really need the legal background to be able to interpret judgments and give the proper context and information on it, because you have to be very, very careful, because especially in India, when you talk about legal judgments, you have to be so careful, because otherwise it could be considered contempt of court, even if you kind of criticize the judgment. So legal journalists who I have known, they have done their LLB, and some of them have gone on to study journalism further. Some of them, as law students itself or as practicing lawyers, have been contributing to magazines, and they appear as experts and stuff. So that's how they've started their footing. But if you want a direct entry soon after law, do your 1 year in postgrad in journalism, and then you will get a really good job. And like I said, legal journalists are very much in demand. So it's a fantastic option. And even if you don't become a legal journalist, even if you cover another beat, having this backing of law gives more credibility to you as a journalist, because you'll be better positioned better to understand nuances. Even when it comes to policy and politics, it's a great value add. How can one start as a freelance journalist? As a freelance journalist, I think in order to apply somewhere, you'd obviously have to show a body of work. And if you are a student, how do you do that? For me, I started freelancing after I started interning at the Hindu, and because I got my work published there, I could show other publications and say, hey, I write for the Hindu, or I wrote for the Hindu, and this is my work. These are the topics that I like writing, and this is the thing that I would like to write for. Would you be interested? I would recommend that if you have a body of work, to not do freelance journalism for free, but to charge, even if it's a nominal amount, please charge for your work, for the time and effort you put in. If you have no work at all, if you're just starting and you've not written anything anywhere, people are not likely to pay. So I think having practice probably with content writing, there are a lot of people who are looking for college students especially to write for websites. Doing that will also help you improve your language, writing skills, working on deadlines, etc., and that will help you. Twitter is a great place to find jobs, LinkedIn as well, when it comes to freelancing and freelance writing. The next question is, does pursuing journalism mean you have to learn high level Oxford English? Not at all. In fact, the absolute opposite. The days of using archaic language and fancy words is over. The whole point of journalism is to simplify the news that's happening around you in a way that people around can understand. And even when it comes to like politicians and policy and laws and judgments, a lot of times when we get news, as people, we want to know, but why is it important? Like, what impact does it have on me? If they say, okay, GST has been cut by 18%, or it has been cut by 5%, you want to know, okay, so what does that mean? Like, are things better? Are things worse? And that's why journalists come in, because they are able to effectively and efficiently explain what matters and why it matters. And this is what is called editorializing the news and giving a position to the news that has come. So they'd say like, oh, great news for consumers. This is the latest thing that has been rolled out by the government. It gives relief to taxpayers, and information like that. So you have to be able to convey complex messaging and put it in the simplest way possible. That is your job as a journalist. And if you are someone who can do it in the simplest words, like, that is such a great skill. And I think it's a very underrated skill, the ability to take complex information and put it in easy to understand language. Is fantastic. It's a great skill, and it's something I think you cannot be taught, but it's something you learn with practice. Or sometimes, like in my office where I work, there were some people who were fantastic at doing this. So whenever they would work on scripts, for example, like, I would read the corrected versions of what they had done and be like, oh yeah, I put it in such complicated language. They've made it so simple, yet the message is still there. Like, they've brought it to the point, So I learned a lot just by observing and reading other people. So yeah, don't worry about English and all of that. What matters most is how you communicate. And if you're a good communicator, you'll become a very good journalist. Do you ever get shamed by your family that you should have become a doctor or an engineer? No, actually, I'm the first journalist in my family, because everybody else, they are doctors or professors. And the thing with me, why my parents weren't as scared, is because from a very early age, from when I was in class 10, in class 9, class 10, I was very clear that I want to be a journalist. And I worked for it throughout. Like I mentioned, I would write for the college magazine. I had my own blog. I would try to write wherever and whenever the opportunity could come. I used to also handle my family newsletters and like collect information from everyone, edit it together. Even in college, I would want to be like editor of the college magazine. We used to have these biannual newspapers that we used to produce, done completely by the students. So I was on the editorial board. So wherever I got opportunities, I did my best to have a crack at it so I can learn as much as I can. And for me, it was not that I learned it to put it on my CV. I did it because I was just so interested in it, And when you love something, you want to just do it all the time, and you want to get the best at it. So that was my motivation. And my parents could see that I was very clear and I had a clear plan, and I kept working at it. And they knew that, even if this field is risky, that I will do my best to do a good job at it, and try my level hard to be the best at what I can do. So in that way, my parents were my parents were convinced, I guess, and they felt comfortable with my choice of deciding to take up journalism. And even when it came to my postgrad, I was very clear that I wanted to be a journalist, and I was very clear I wanted to go to ACG. That was the only college I applied for. So they saw the kind of focus and determination I had, and so they weren't worried. Even with my extended family, everybody, because I've been doing this for so many years, talking about it, just constantly not shutting up about it. And my family, they used to watch TV news a lot, they used to read newspapers a lot. So they saw it as a matter of interest, and that, oh, you want to do this, and oh, it's like a noble profession because you're going to uncover the truth and you're going to fight for what's right, and make sure that those who don't have voices, you become their voice. So they saw it as a noble profession, and now obviously people have a different opinion about it because it's become like entertainment and drama. But back then it was, even, I mean, that's what drove me also. I was like, I want to do this because I want to do it for the right reasons, and I was enthused, so they were on board. I got a couple of questions on studying abroad or doing your master's in journalism abroad, and since I haven't done it, I thought I would ask a colleague of mine, Uday, who is now doing his master's abroad, and he'll be answering all your questions.
So I sent the questions to Uday, and here is his response. I'm going to read it out because most postgraduate journalism schools have an interest test of some sort. They judge you on your language skill and knowledge of current affairs. If you have any writing or broadcast experience, play that up. Build a portfolio of all your work samples that helps to get you over the line. With regard to getting a job after graduation, he says, yes, I did, but not immediately. I didn't get a job during placement interviews, and it was really disheartening to see all my friends get fantastic jobs while I struggled. But this is why you should have faith. Things eventually worked out for me. Now, this is a third question about whether you'd get more money. If you've already done a journalism course and have relevant work experience, I'm not sure if getting an extra master's will help much, unless you're studying journalism in another country or trying to build more connections. But sounds like you already have all the skills you need.
That's about it. I hope this helped and it was helpful to everyone who was looking to maybe consider journalism as a career. Having worked as a journalist, I can tell you that this field is so exciting, and there's so much to learn every single day, but it can also be super stressful and tiring, and money is not that great. So keep all of that in mind. And one of the greatest things about journalism is the skills you learn as a journalist are so easily transferable to other communication jobs. Like, I know so many journalists who have work in PR, advertising, corporate communications, technical communication. So don't worry if you join journalism, you work with a news agency or a news media house and you don't like it and you feel disillusioned. There are so many other options. So all the very best to you. And if you have any more questions, put them in the comments. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. I hope you have a fantastic day, week, year ahead, and share this video with anyone you know who wants to consider becoming a journalist, and also subscribe. Okay. Bye.